Okay. 1,
2, 3,
4,
1,
2, 3,
4,
1.
2, 3.
4.
Beautiful. All right. So, 3, 2, 1. I'm Phil DeLuca.
I am Nate Burgess.
I am Sean Watson.
And we are Commanderin. Commanderin. Thanks for listening, everybody. We put a spotlight on community issues, but never, ever talk about 4 banned topics. Yes, things have changed since our guest was last on. Religion, politics, Hearthstone, and hip-hop. So, do try to resist that, gents. We want to remind everyone to visit patreon.com/commanderin.mtg. Listeners are our only sponsors. And the only way we can keep doing this is with donation from folks like you. So if you donate $1 a show, it helps immensely. And if you donate $10 per show, you can join our exclusive Facebook chat group, Patroni. They also get to contribute to show plans, and they get sneak peeks and sometimes even exclusive content. And don't forget to visit us on YouTube, especially last episode. Hunter Pruitt and now Bradford Heron. In the past, it was Nate Burgess putting together videos. Hunter and Bradford are super patrons, and they bring you videos each week now with cards and other images. So thanks a lot, guys.
Yes, thank you, Hunter and Bradford.
Completely natural. This is what separates professional podcasters like us from, well, everyone else. Guys, we have a wonderful show lined up for our listeners, don't we?
Yes.
I hope so.
We're talking this week about designing Modern Masters 2017, but we are no experts, and so we have brought one on. He is the past lead developer of Magic Origins and Eldritch Moon, and now the lead designer of Modern Masters 2017, Sam Stoddard.
Hello, hello.
Hey, welcome back, Sam.
Thanks. I enjoyed being on so much before that you're the only podcast I do.
Whoa. 100% exclusive, and that is legally binding.
Well, once, 2 points form a line, so, it's kind of hard to break out of that now.
Hi, Sam. Long time no see.
Hello.
We are super happy to serve as your exclusive podcast outlet.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, well, we want to offer you congratulations on this excellent set that we are going to talk about tonight.
Well, thank you very much. I am very excited by it. I can't wait till people actually get the chance to draft it. It is super sweet and super fun.
We have a Facebook group where we talk to our some of our listeners and some other people who've just come on to test decks with us. And they are excited about it. Our patron group as well. It was crazy. When Mastrodrop had its boxes for sale and it sold out almost immediately, everybody was kind of looking around for the best prices to buy boxes. And we kept watching as people were saying, just bought a box, and the price kept climbing higher and higher. So, yeah, high demand, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of excitement about it. Super, super fun to watch. People obviously getting super excited about any set, but when you worked on, obviously, is the most exciting.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for coming on, and it's been some 30 or so episodes. Would you mind telling our new listeners, because we've added quite a few new listeners since then, a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Sam Stoddard. I'm a senior game designer at Wizards of the Coast. I obviously work on Magic. As you mentioned, my 2 set leads before this were Magic Origins and Eldritch Moon. I've been on a lot of other sets, like Dragon's Maze, M15, Dragon's Stark here, Shadows over Innistrad. Just as a member, I've been on a lot of design teams. I've got more stuff coming up, so excited. You'll get to find out that I think at the end of this month we announced the the next 6 months worth of stuff, and I got some cool stuff in there that people should be excited about. So yeah, got this job. Basically, I wrote articles and played on the Pro Tour a couple times, and met, had some connections, interviewed for this job, got it, and things have been great ever since.
So we would be remiss if we actually held to that lie. We actually have no listeners, so if you want to tell us anything, it's okay. So. Oh,
okay, yeah. If it's just between us, then don't have to worry about it. Sounds good.
So what has been... You started working for Wizards in 2012. What has been the biggest change, other than your rocketing from intern to senior designer?
Biggest change? Well, we have... Since I started there, the size of sort of R&D has grown quite a bit. Like, I got there, and even when I got there, people were like, boy, it's so much larger than it used to be. And now, all of a sudden, we have, just a larger team for playtesting and more designers, a lot more people on the art and story side. Especially as we've changed from the 1 block a year to 2 block a year, that just required more people. It turns out that producing 1 world guide a year is easier than making 2 world guides a year. What? Who knew? So I've just watched things get bigger, and it's been really fun to watch.
That's awesome. After 5 years, do you get a pin? Like a service pin for 5 years?
Oh my God. No, we don't have anything like that, unfortunately. But we have an all-hands meeting every, one of our all-hands meetings every year, they have a video where they, get like the 5 years and 10 years. And I think at like 1 year, your name just shows up on a list. At 5 years, you've got you show up in a video where they have your picture. 10 years, you get a little bit more. For 20 years was great. You get a really nice long video for 20 years. Mark Rosewater just did his 20-year anniversary, and there's this, they had this great 15-minute video where he was doing Drive to Work, and they've just followed him doing it. He's driving, and then he hits somebody, and just okay, whatever. And he's still talking, and he's getting out of the car and throwing in their trunk. It was totally great.
That's awesome.
So I only have to wait 15 more years before I get to do something similar.
Yeah.
If you get to 25 years, does your spark ignite?
That's the 30 year.
That's excellent. I wondered if they were just going to show pictures of Mark and Aaron hugging or something.
No, it was more fun than that.
So what's your daily life like? Just a little glimpse.
Yeah, I go into work. Some of it depends on whether or not one of the teams I'm leading is meeting that day or not. But, it's a lot of sitting at my desk, making up card, doing some play tests. I wouldn't say I do on average 1 draft a day, but it's something 2 or 3 times a week, end up playing in a draft. A couple of times a week, play some FFL games. I don't get to do as much of that as I used to, since once you're, leading things, the amount of time you have to sort of just play games goes down, since a lot of your time is doing administrative tasks. But spend a lot of time reading through sets and making comments and, trying to break things, or at least, leaving comments about, hey, this is really not fun if you do this, or this card would be better if you change this around, things like that.
Fascinating. Are they going to follow you around with a camera so that you can document it later?
Probably not right now, but you never know. We've I do some of those inside R&D videos and shot some stuff in the pit in the past for walking the planes and stuff. So
yeah,
I'm sure at some point someone can follow me around and see all my fun stuff of sitting on my computer and clickety-clacking on my keyboard.
Bradford Heron, our editor, will actually do that for free.
Yeah, just gotta get that approved. I'm sure it's super easy to just kind of show up with a camera.
Yeah. And then, go into the pit, hang out.
Yeah, and just real easy. Just go in and, just give them your press credentials, and you can come in and just take whatever pictures you want.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
What could possibly go wrong, right?
Yeah. Just say you're not going to show them to anyone, and it's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine, yeah. What if he really double super secret promises and pinky swears?
Oh, well, a pinky swear is, if you can pinky swear, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Come on in.
If you still have your pinkies.
Mm-hmm.
Let me zoom in on that monitor. Hang on.
That's if you've not broken the color pie a couple of times then, I guess.
All right. Sorry. All right. We want to get into the meat of the show. And before we do that, though, we have some news. So the response, Sam, you in particular will really enjoy this. The response to our preview card was amazing. I don't think anybody expected to see Deadeye Navigator reprinted. And so did you select it for us because of the watch list? It was our first card on the watch list.
No. So one of the fun things about master sets is you get to take mechanics that never really existed with our mechanics and put them in sets. And Soulbond is a mechanic that I think got kind of a bad rap because it was in Avacyn Restored. And, once you actually play with it outside of Avacyn Restored, it's much more fun. And, that was a card where it really fit in the themes really well. We are well aware of the dangers of that card in Commander. It is quite the card. Like, we would likely not put that into a Commander precon because it is clearly a card that is not necessarily along for this world. I don't know. Like we the Commander ban list is not within R&D. It's an external group, and we don't manage it. So
we've discussed this card with them, and they're not banning this card.
No, they're not.
It's one of those things where it's like, I think if we manage it, we might ban this card, but currently it's not, and so
fuel for the fire.
What we don't want to do is print it in like a Commander deck, and then you get your Commander deck, and it's like, oh, it's like mostly legal. That's super awkward.
In this post-truth age, can I now tweet out, it's official, Wizards want to ban Deadeye Navigator, but the Rules Committee hold them to ransom and won't let them?
No, I mean, I think this is one of those things where if we handled that ban list, it would just be a different format. I think there are a lot of things where it's like, it's things that if we were doing it, it'd be like, yeah, we'd probably ban a bunch of these cards, and I think that it wouldn't necessarily be the thing that everyone wants. So we're more than happy to let that group handle it, and it's not necessarily as well balanced as it could be, but Commander is about more than just straight up game balance. There's a lot of social contract, and that committee I think does a good job of deciding what are things that are better for the greater good, as opposed to just like, this card is too strong. And they obviously play so much; they have a much better idea than most people in R&D. Some people in R&D play a lot of Commander, but a lot of people don't. It's a lot of people just play more competitive formats.
I could go into a deep rabbit hole discussing the pros and cons of having an external rules committee. It's not why we're here, though. So.
I'm trying not to go into that rabbit hole. I'm stuck here. Regardless of whether or not you selected it for us, it led to a super fantastic song. We have already, I know you've been obviously too busy because we know that you subscribe to the podcast and listen to it every week. But it did lead to a fantastic song, and we'll send you a link directly to it so you can hear the fruits of your labor.
Looking forward to it.
Speaking of Nate Burgess, EDHREC.com is carrying Nate's articles on the partners. You're the latest that's up right now, and presumably this will change by the time it drops, but it's Tana the Bloodsower.
No, now it's Silas Wren.
Oh, it came out today?
It came out this week.
I was just looking for it. Damn them.
So next is Sidar Kondo of Jamura.
Ooh, look at that.
I'm looking forward to Silas Wren reading it. I'm not read it yet.
Yeah.
It's a Dimir artifact commander. I'm down with that.
I checked last night. I'm so annoyed. Not really. I'm super happy. I'm just annoyed I haven't read it yet.
How dare you get articles out on time and efficiently, Nate?
Well, that again, that's friend of the show Jason Alt and super patron Henry Stukenborg.
Who I'll be hanging out with in just a couple of weeks.
How about that?
Any listeners in the Texas, Austin area, message me and we can probably get a game in.
Oh, you know what? It's kind of too bad you're not going to the Philippines, because our listeners in the Philippines are actually, like, they're our most dedicated listeners. I was looking at some of the stats, and far and away, above and beyond anybody else in terms of number of minutes listened per show per person. So, way to go.
I work with a lot of Filipinos and Filipinas.
Yeah.
Good people. Good food as well.
Yeah, the guy who introduced me to Magic is Filipino. Thanks, Philippines. Woo! Hey, it's hot in this closet already. We have
Dead Tom Cruise.
we have a deck review group on Facebook too. We don't talk about it enough. Patron Mason Talley also runs that. It's facebook.com/groups/commanderin deck reviews, all one word. And we'll provide a link in the show notes. So go up there, submit a deck for review, and a panel of experts
And sometimes me.
will tear your deck apart and put it back together stronger, faster, better looking.
And with a budget of $6 million, presumably.
Well, yes, you'll need all of the dual lands, so... No, I'm just kidding. Head on up over there. So, speaking of Bradford, we weren't, but Bradford got engaged recently. How cool is that?
Congratulations, Bradford.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
To quote Wayne's World, you know marriage is punishment for shoplifting in some countries.
Don't listen to Sean. Marriage is a wonderful institution that leads to many rewarding interactions between two people who are equal partners in life.
Yes, I'm currently having a rewarding interaction with my wife involving a solicitor, and there is definitely a reward for somebody.
Solicitor is the English word for lawyer.
Yes,
Probably.
not someone who solicits themselves.
Say that's probably a very good clarification.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
And I hope Disneyland was magical for you when you got engaged. He got engaged in Disneyland.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
which bit? Bradford messaged us one time and tell us exactly where in Disneyland.
Oh, I know where. It was in the restaurant, the Blue Bayou, which he spells Bellu Bayou. One of the fine restaurants in Disneyland, so it's a
The
good place.
Blue Bayou is presumably a salt island.
Yes, the restaurant is full of gorgons and oozes.
And Nagas.
And
Running
Nagas.
the
Yeah.
place, slithering over, taking your order.
snake people and zombie turtles.
Yeah, what can go wrong?
And you get a free complimentary fruit bowl with bananas with every meal.
Yeah, strangely, you get to take the fruit bowl home, too.
I have a little bit of news.
Yeah?
Okay, so I guess this references our early shows that Sam was on where Sean begs for stuff.
Oh, yeah, this is Sean Begs for Stuff.
Okay, so due to the aforementioned divorce and everything that's happened there, my planned trip to GP Las Vegas suddenly became unplanned with no money. And we really want to, I think I speak for all of us, record some live shows and loads of content from the floor of GP Vegas. So this isn't just me asking for a free holiday, honest. But I have set up a GoFundMe to try and raise the money just to get the flight tickets into Las Vegas for myself. It's only been running 10 hours, and I'm amazed at the generosity of our community who have seen this GoFundMe have already sent me. But if you can donate even just like $1 towards getting me to Las Vegas, we will record some amazing content for you.
Yep.
To donate if you want to, or if you can go to GoFundMe and search commanderin Las Vegas. Phil will put a link in the show notes. You can also search Sean Watson, spelled with an H, Whatson. If you can donate anything, if you're in GP Las Vegas, I'll alter any card immediately on the GP floor if you bring it to me with a Sharpie.
Well, wait, will you do a custom Atraxa proxy?
If I'll bring some blank, plain white magic cards to customize not just Atraxa, I will do a Sean version of any card you ask for. Once again, the Sharpie is required.
Well, Sean, we are looking forward to you being in Las Vegas, and I can't say how sad we'll be. I mean, this is actually the first time we would ever meet in person. You, me, and Nate.
Yep, you're going to find out I've been catfishing you the whole time.
Excellent. Our final bit of news is next week on Commanderin. Again, little sneak peek. A person that Sam knows really well, Adam Prozac, will be on the show. He, of course, was the lead developer on Modern Masters 2017. Any dirt you can spill on Adam?
Adam's Mitko name is I Hate Pants, so make sure to bring that up and find out what that's all about. But no, he's somebody who I was friends with even before Wizard. He's kind of spent a lot of time in the Ohio area, kind of between Ohio and Arizona was the two areas where he kind of lived. So I've known him for a...
Was he a nomad?
No, he like lived in Ohio for a couple of years, moved to Arizona for a few years, moved back to Ohio. You know, he's got family in both areas. So, but you know, I've known him for, I don't know, at least 10 years, probably longer than that.
Wow.
Well, the first time I played him, I was playing Psychotog in like extended, so it's been however long that is.
Oh, that's crazy.
At least 15 years or something, maybe 15 years. So it's been a long time.
And you met him playing Magic, or did you guys go play Magic together?
Met him playing Magic. I lived in Columbus, Ohio. He was in Cincinnati, Ohio. I made friends with a lot of Cincinnati guys and met him through there.
Did you like their chili?
Their chili is great. They have got Skyline chili. It's good stuff.
I'm hungry. I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back. Wow. Awesome. We'll talk to him about all of this stuff. And I really do think now he was a nomad, so I can't shake that image. But all right. Now, do you play Commander?
I play Commander occasionally. I actually probably play test Commander more than I actually play Commander.
Ooh.
But, yeah, so obviously I can't talk about those decks, but there are some sweet ones.
So you are playtesting some Commander decks right now?
Well, I've done it in the past. I actually haven't done it in a while. One of my favorite early memories when I got there was playtesting Commander 2012, I think, or I guess it was in 2012, but in like 2013, and that was the one with I remember Aloro, the one where and I actually like threw a real stink because initially all the commanders had that like if it's in your command zone do something, and one of them was Howling Mine. Another one was everyone had Exploration, and I was just like, we should not do this. We are not creating a commander game. We are just creating like a new format. It was just it was crazy. It was just like everyone gets to draw two. It's like commander with draw two, play two. It's like no, we. And I threw actually a kind of a big stink in my playtest where I was just like, oh god, what have we wrought? And luckily, at some point, cooler heads prevailed, and we decided that having 5 commanders with abilities that, affected everybody in the command zone was not what people were going to really enjoy about the format. So, pulled back on that, and I think even Aloro ended up getting nerfed a bit, and I know that he is still a pretty contentious commander. So, in hindsight, pretty glad we did that.
Aloro is very popular. I wouldn't say he's contentious. I've never heard anyone complain about him.
I do occasionally hear people complain about, the whole not being able to interact with Aloro when it's in the command zone and it just doing stuff. There are people that really dislike that fact that you just can't interact with something at all.
Yeah, and at first blush, new players are like, that's crazy. If they have any Magic experience at all, they're still keyed to how important life is. And they don't realize that a trickle of life, while it's useful and sometimes important, usually isn't important.
Yeah, it's a lot less important when you start at 40 than 20.
Yeah. So, Nate, are there any Commander decks that you've been brewing or playtesting?
Lately, my brews have been going along with my articles, and so lately I've been trying to figure out what to do with Sidar Kondo of Jamora.
Oh, nice. Nice. So anybody in our deck testing group who's played against Sidar Kondo with you as the driver, they're helping you with your article, aren't they?
Oh, I haven't taken it out for a drive yet.
Ooh.
What are you playing with, Phil?
I have made Talrand in paper. I've talked about it a couple of times, but it's crazy because in paper it's incredibly slow to iterate on these things because you have to play it enough times to get a feel for it. And so I've been playing it a lot against the guys at work, and a couple of times I played it with folks outside. And, of course, Anna Fenza has been finally taken out for a spin, and she was kind of an answer to a Meren deck that one of my friends was playing a lot of. I've recently started rebrewing Athreos. I want to update them with some new cards. In fact, I have to update all my decks with the latest up on deck stats. And I'm brewing Kineas and Tiro once again.
It's an interesting deck, Kineas and Tiro.
Yeah, I'm really sort of playing up the group hug theme. Like, everybody is going to get something when I play Kineas and Tiro. Everybody.
Have you won much with it?
I haven't played with it yet.
All right, so you're just taking it back to the drawboard.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I had started earlier by modifying the precon and essentially just threw it away, put Kineas and Tiro in a package of essential mana rocks, and then built up from there.
Do you have a Rite of the Raging Storm?
I have not yet gotten to enchantments. I'm worrying about creatures right now. But Rite of the Raging Storm, I think, belongs in there.
Yeah, he gives stuff away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Damage, mostly. It's interesting you brew it by category rather than effect.
Well, I do brew it by effect, but right now, since creatures are very important in our format, right, and are permanent sources of damage, and this is the way I play because it's a very green strategy. I just look at all the creatures that do something for my, let's not call them opponents, let's just call them the other players at the table.
Your colleagues.
Yes, my fellow planeswalkers, who all deserve something.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a natural K&T player. So, I'm building a Shuyun deck. Because I'm always in a quest to build a Jeskai deck I'm happy with. It's either too good or not good enough. I've never quite brewed it to a level I feel comfortable playing with. It's really hard not to include Paradox Engine in a Shuyun deck.
Why wouldn't you?
75%, I guess. And I think Paradox Engine is, by definition, not a 75% card. I think it's like a 95% card.
Well, that just means all of your other cards have to be slightly weaker.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't tempt me, Frodo. I would use this Jeskai deck with a desire to do good, but when I'm double striking you in the face repeatedly with prowess.
Does that mean all of your other decks now have no tutors in them?
No, I run tutors in, I'm thinking now, all my decks, but as I don't tend to play combo wins, it's like, when you're tooth and nailing for Kiki Jiki Zealous Conscripts, or you've played Mikaeus the Unhallowed and you're tutoring for the Triskelion, that's what gives tutors a bad name, and I don't use them like that. You have to tutor responsibly.
One of the people that who works on the creative team, Kelly Diggs, he has a rule within his own commander decks where basically once he finds out that he's got an infinite combo, he just takes part of it out. And, every once in a while he'll be playing and he'll find, oops, this goes infinite, and just fix it. Because, that's his thing. He just does not like going infinite.
Good on you, Kelly.
Good on you. Yeah, I have one deck that does infinite loops because we've recently taken the training wheels, or the restrictions, should I say, off of my paper group. And everyone just went full on 100% nasty spikes immediately. So my Breyer deck is a go out of the way, win by turn 4 combo deck. And those games tend to end really fast, and everyone sort of reverts back to playing the kind of more socially acceptable commander straight away. Everyone just needed to get it out of their system.
Yeah, it's sort of like having access to the nuclear football and just sort of tracing your finger on that shiny red button.
Oh no, we pressed the red button. It's not that bad. It was done by mass land destruction. Ruined it for everyone. Someone started just dropping it indiscriminately in groups, and they lost all their games. But we played one session, a 4-player commander, where in 5 hours we got 2 games in. And yeah, I know, right? I won both those games with Ailey, by the way, because if you're going to play against Mass Land Destruction, you want something with a low CMC and very resilient. But it was just, okay, great, you've cast Kalia, oh look, there's a demonic tutor for the Armageddon, brilliant. GG, you know, well done.
Yeah. It's a test of skill to time that demonic tutor just perfectly.
Oh, well, a vampiric tutor, if you're lucky. You know, it's just like, right, well, I'm going to tutor up a Toxic Deluge and hold 3 land in my hand, and I bet I can race you. God bless Toxic Deluge.
And this is why Commander is not a competitive format, because, my God, if we had to actually balance it for these kind of cards, like Armageddon and Demonic Tutor, boy, that ban list would be long. Boy, would it be not short.
Mm-hmm.
I murdered people with a Necropotence and Children of Corliss Sanguine Bond the other day. That was good fun. Well, ha ha ha. I'm going to draw 40 cards and deal you 40 damage. Bye.
Yeah.
All at instant speed.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. That costs me 0 mana to activate. But I know people that would get upset saying that's infinite. But yeah, it's a different conversation. Anyway.
Yeah. So speaking of fantastic balance and wonderful sets, let's move on to Modern Masters 2017. We have absolutely teased our listeners way too much by not talking about it.
Yeah.
So first a little data, and we'll talk about this next week with Adam as well. The set releases, and by then released, March 17th. That's only in 2 short days from this episode being released. How cool is that? There are 24 boosters in each box. It's perfect for drafting, almost as if it were designed.
Yeah, weird.
For drafting.
Weird.
Yeah. How did you guys come up with that number? But I do appreciate that you've made it so that prizes have to come from the next box, which automatically means buying another box of cards. So, and it has an MSRP of $9.99 per pack. A little bit high, so most people buy a box at discount. And then draft it with their friends. The initial concept and design team, Sam Stoddard was the lead, hello, and Brian Hawley and Gavin Verhey. What can you say about those two guys?
Well, Brian is someone who, he's been running R&D for quite a while. Actually started off with Kaijudo before moving over to Magic, and he does a lot of, he does our collation, which is a very difficult job, and I'm glad I don't have to take care of it, because I am not a super mathy person. He is, and thank God. He's great, and it was the holdover where he was on the design team and then continued on to the development team to kind of relay all the stuff that was going on. And Gavin Verhey is just an international man of mystery. It's one of those things where, you know, you'll see him at work one day, and then the next day he's got Facebook photos of him on safari in Africa because, you know, he just decided to go on safari. One of my favorite Gavin stories is, God, what was this, a year or two ago? He was on the Joko cruise, it was the Jonathan Colton cruise, and he fell off a volcano and missed the boat. And then he had to, fly to another island in the Caribbean to re-meet up with the boat, but had to kind of, talk his way through some security stuff.
Yeah, because you know,
they're in some, touristy area, and this is what his life is. He is quite a strange cat. It's always just funny to see him, just jet setting and do all kinds of weird stuff, but hey, that's what he's into. I wish I could do that. I wasted my youth not traveling to, China on a whim, just tour around for a week and coming back.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've read that story of his falling down a volcano. I think the reason he had to talk his way through was because he didn't have his ID on him. It was in his cabin.
Yeah, it was something like that. He didn't have. Yeah, and it's not very useful when your ID's in your cabin because
Right.
You can't just you can't swim up to the boat and get on. They gotta let you on some other way.
Yeah. Insane. It was a great story.
Yeah.
So the development team this time around was led by Adam Prozac. We'll talk to him next week. And included, of course, Brian. So he was the transition. He was the holdover, you called him?
Yeah.
We'll find out more about that next week. And Yanni Skolnick and Eric Lauer was the advisor. What is the advisor role like?
So Eric led, he is the head developer, basically. He, obviously, the sets that you would most know him from, he basically does most of all the fall sets. So Innistrad, RTR, Battle for Zendikar, Theros. But he also led the first Modern Masters development, and he was kind of the person who even really pushed it towards, making it into a really draftable format as opposed to just like a collection of cards. And then he did the design of Modern Masters 2, and we've kind of, he is here to, make sure that the final product is up to the quality standards we wanted to be on, and, give any advice to the person who's leading it about what they could do to make it better.
So do you get to walk in the office and go like, yeah, Eric, thanks for the advice, but this is the best Modern Master set yet?
No. And really, for this one especially, like he was, I had very little interaction with him on this one. That's more of a kind of later on polish role as opposed to being super involved early on in the process of how the set gets made. The biggest stuff that I really worked with him on this one was figuring out the structure of going to a more heavily themed gold set as opposed to just kind of like pick the 10 color pairs you want to do, and which is what we kind of have done with other Modern Masters.
Got it. I think the heavy gold, the gold nature of this particular set is what makes it so juicy for Commander.
Yeah, no, that I'm sure that really helps out a lot. It's weird working on sets and thinking about cards, and you talk to people about, well, this might be good in Commander, and the difference between the pressures for like Standard and Commander are very different in the sense that in Standard it's like, can this be fewer colors? Can this be, because what I want is a monocolor card because I can put it in all 4 of my decks. In Commander it's like, I want a 4-color card so I can put it in all 4 of my decks as the Commander. It's an interesting difference that that we obviously see come up of. This happened with Ishkana, ended up getting a black activation because that way once you have that black activation you can make the black-green spider deck, as opposed to it's mono-green and the Spider Lord cuts out like spider spawning and stuff.
Yeah, and then someone designed that card's art to look a little bit like Sheldred, fueling speculation. And didn't happen.
So, jumping ahead a little bit, patron Andy Bentley asks, what was Sam's personal addition to the set? Like, what card did you take to the staff meeting, slam on the table, and say, "This is in the set"?
It's weird. I don't know. I don't remember anything like that exactly. I mean, certainly as we were discussing this set, the major cards that were like, okay, Damnation has to be in this one. That was the number one. Like, Damnation has this history of just kind of like almost getting reprinted a bunch of times to the point where it became a meme. I was like, okay, this one we seriously have to do Damnation. We knew we wanted to do the fetch lands. We knew we wanted to do Liliana, Snapcaster, Tarmogoyf, and Goblin Guide, and then everything else was kind of like, okay, well, that's the start. Let's figure out what else we can fit in there. And early on, we were trying to figure out what the set was going to be. Like, we were adding 2 things, RTR and Innistrad, and it's like, okay, this could be the graveyard theme set where we really just kick up all the graveyard themes. Like, we have Scavenge and Dredge and all these things. Like, what if you could dredge into spider spawning? Would that be good? But ultimately it was like, well, we kind of just did Shadows over Innistrad, and maybe we want to like hold off on doing a graveyard theme until we're a little further away from that set, so it's not just like, hey, we just played these. And that was the gold set, and once we had there, then it was a matter of, okay, what are the coolest gold cards that either we haven't printed, or even just like, what are the really fun gold cards that we can kind of make this limited format about.
You've just started answering a whole bunch of questions below.
I think some people, myself included, expected Damnation to get a rarity shift. So to see it staying at rare is, rather than shifting to mythic, is very welcome.
Yeah, considering, I think in the article about Mythics, Mark Rosewater called out Wrath of God as being the kind of card that we would not print at Mythic. We knew we should not print Damnation, the color-shifted version of that, as a Mythic. That feels like that would be going against the spirit of that kind of edict.
So I think you said last time you had an eye toward increasing access to any particular card like that. Do you think that this will finally answer the cries for damnation that the entire EDH community has been wailing?
It's really hard to tell. Like, these things are sometimes hard to predict exactly. Like, we will find out if we know whether or not this is one of those cards where you've certainly seen this in different Modern Masters where kind of keep printing Tarmogoyf, and it's not like people stop needing Tarmogoyfs, but if you look at Modern Masters 1 or 2, there are cards that we reprinted that we did kind of meet the needs for that card's availability for right now. Like, and some of that is, how many cards existed beforehand of that versus how many got printed. And some of that is just, if you have a 10,001 people that want a card and there's only 10,000 in existence, then you don't have enough of it. And you print another 10,000 and, well, now there's more than enough in existence. So this might satiate the need for damnation for Commander for a little while, but I imagine as the format grows, we're going to have to reprint it again, since it's not like it's going to stop going in decks anytime soon.
Right.
I think it's a strange card for me, Damnation, because there's two other cards which I think are perfectly acceptable that can replace it. So, like, Toxic Deluge and Crux of Fate are the two that spring to mind. And in Commander, that one extra CMC, you don't desperately need to get a super early game turn 4 board wipe off. You can probably wait to turn 5, because we're not playing Modern or something where you're practically dead by that turn. And Toxic Deluge, I think, is a better card because it gets through indestructibility.
That's true.
So there was a strange mystique built around Damnation, wasn't there? About it was sort of desirable to have one as a sort of prestige card. I think when a few get out there, the desire for it's just going to die off.
Yeah, we've seen that in the past. I mean, I think Rolling Earthquake was that before it was in From the Vault. I think that it was a card that was more noteworthy because it was, it obviously it's a little weird as a red card due to the fact that it has horsemanship and all that stuff, but it was a card that, because sometimes your commander has horsemanship and then, you just totally psyched everyone out. But it was a card that once we put it in From the Vault, all of a sudden, it turns out there weren't actually as many people that necessarily needed that card as you might have thought. It was something where we get that in From the Vault size printing, and all of a sudden that meets demand, and people are a little less. It is less exciting of a card because it's not like as hard to find as a Portal 3 Kingdoms card.
Yeah.
Nate, do you want to ask some of these patron questions? I don't think we need to go over Deadeye Navigator.
Patroni, including Tristan May Shark and Andy Bent Lee, wondered about what was the process for picking what cards were included in the set.
So, as I mentioned, we started off with, the cards I talked about, and a lot of what we do is you kind of go through all the new cards that get added. So, we kind of have a rule about how far back the Modern Master sets go. So this one was adding Return to Ravnica and Innistrad. So you go through and you say, okay, what are the coolest cards in these two sets that we haven't reprinted in a long time? Like, we try to fit those in. Then we see where that puts us, and we start thinking about limited color pairs and like what would be fun. And so you make decisions. Like, you could go, okay, well, it's really cool to overlap this mechanic that we just added and this other mechanic, so let's stick it in. And then you kind of find old cards to put in. We didn't do it for this one, but certainly at some point when we do one of these sets and it has Infect in it, we're going to say, okay, we want to put Infect in there. Now, Exalted is a really cool overlap with Infect. Let's figure out some Exalted stuff to put in there. And you kind of, starting from one or two mechanics, you kind of start piecing stuff together of what would be fun overlaps, and then as you find that, you find more cards that are fun to put in. And certainly a thing that I was aiming for was that, basically every rare in the set had some place somewhere. Certainly I heard a lot of complaints, and I agree with them about Daybreak Cornet in Modern Masters 2. It was a card that was supported early on in the format. Things got changed, it got left in, and all of a sudden it was a rare you would open up that didn't really have a place in the limited format. And what I was hoping for, and certainly when I handed the set over, was every rare has a place in the limited format. And it's really cool when you open something that you really want to open, but it also is really good in a deck. It's not just kind of sitting there alone with no way to make good use out of it. It also just like has a place where you can play it. And, you know, example of Blood Moon is a card where in Modern Masters 1 it existed, but it didn't actually do that much, where here, like, you can just, if you open up Blood Moon, you can say, well, I'm going to play the 2-color super aggressive deck, and I'm going to Blood Moon people, because other people will be playing 3 and 4-color decks, and I get to just do exactly what Blood Moon was designed to do, like punish people for playing multicolor decks. You know, I do think it is upside when the card's in a master set like this. You know, whether or not you enjoy that play pattern, it does something. It's not like you're going to open up Blood Moon, play it, and it's just never going to have any impact on the games whatsoever. It really, you know, it is going to impact games when you play it, and I do think that is important for these sets, that a lot of these really exciting cards actually have a home, and when you're playing limited, show up, do meaningful things, or let you build decks around them.
So that answers Tristan and Russell Lee's next question, doesn't it? About how you determine what draft themes will be in a master set.
Right, and going further down that, some of that is like, you know, sometimes we work upwards of, okay, what is the green and white deck going to do? And we look around for it. Sometimes it is of, we want to include this really cool card. Can we get this to work? Like, does that inspire something really cool for limited? And you know, we tried a lot of different limited color pairs. The first version of the set had all 10 color pairs, and it was a little more gold-faced, but I'll tell you what, when you actually have, thinking back of that, you know, it sounded like a reasonable idea. We haven't really done a gold set that just had 10 kind of distant color pairs in it, and, you know, we've done like Ravnica, both, you know, Ravnica's had 2-color guilds, but didn't have like all 10 in one set. And then, you know, both Shards and Khans did 3 colors and not all 10. And once you actually put all 10 together, oh my god, it was so soupy. It was just like, okay, there are a billion gold cards and a lot of mana fixing. Everything was just these, you know, 4 or 5 color decks that kind of were doing the same thing. We cut down to the just the Shards, and things became much more sensible.
That's very cool. I wish we could see that. You know, like, I really wish we could see. Maybe there's got to be some way you guys can record this and, you know, just highlight, even just get like an hour of video in each playtest, and then at the end of it, when the set is released, just kind of publish this long, almost documentary video on the process.
Yeah, I think, you know, I have a lot of old actual Magic sets from, like, all the sets that I've led. I've kept, like, a copy of the handoff, and it's always interesting to look at it and see what survived, what didn't. Like this, I'm sure somewhere on my computer I have a full list of everything that was in the Masters set, you know, the entire time. And yeah, it's interesting. You look at early versions that, you know, as you're putting everything in the file, you're like, this is going to be sweet. And then you play it, you're like, nope, never mind. And yeah, it's real interesting to watch that kind of stuff.
How much of those themes that you play with in the early development of a set like Modern Masters do you think, like, how much gets kind of pulled out and archived and said, like, oh, you know, we'll put, I'm just going to say, tokens in next set?
Quite a bit. I mean, you know, this one I was mindfully trying not to do super heavy graveyard stuff, for instance, because I knew that, well, we still have all these really cool Innistrad things to do. Let's not have some situation where it's like, what I didn't want to do is say, I'm going to use all the most fun themes humanly possible, stick them in here, and then the next set gets to use less fun themes. You know, so that it was a lot of, like, you know, what can we leave open for the next time we do a master set? What are the themes that set can do satisfyingly? Like, you look at Modern Masters 1, it did take a lot of super fun things like Suspend and Storm, and, you know, had really good artifact stuff going on, but it also had, you know, the changeling stuff that is not as easy to just put into any set. And so it was nice that when we did Modern Masters 2, it got to still have some fun themes. I think it failed in some certain respects of not kind of hitting as many fun themes as we wanted, or being too siloed, but it still had really fun things to do. It wasn't like the first set just did everything fun and then left everything else out in the cold.
Yeah, but you crushed it this set.
I appreciate it.
Modern Masters 4, those people are jacked.
I think that there is still a lot of really fun stuff to do. I think that being mindful of what the remaining open design space is for master sets, obviously with Eternal Masters and Modern Masters 2, there's a pattern there, so it's not like we're going to say, well, this is the last one or anything. So we certainly we are thinking more about, okay, what in the future will these things be able to do? Let's make sure that we are, being mindful of what each set has an advantage of and trying to play towards its strengths, and not just taking all the fun stuff from my set and leaving the future sets to just kind of be copycats.
Mm. So, Doubling Season, Karn, Shocklands, and Lazav confirmed for Modern Masters 2019.
Lazav?
I threw that in for Sean.
I was like, that's a weird one. That's different. I did try Mill initially as in this one. It's one of those things I think every Modern Masters we are like, oh, let's try the Mill deck, and it's ultimately let's see if someone opens up the Glimpse of the Unthinkable deck. I think at some point we'll get to a point where okay, we actually got it to work. But yeah, it is one of the themes that is most likely to be put into master sets, regular sets, everything, and then get pulled back because it's if you actually go for it, 1/3 of the time it actually works. The rest of the time it totally fails.
Mm-hmm. It's a well-known fact you cannot win a game of Commander milling.
Yeah,
it is hard.
Yeah,
you really have to go out of your way.
I watched the stock K&T deck do it.
Oh.
I have 2 decks that regularly win milling. Sultai, X Spells, and Lazav. Adios amigos decks. Bye. Yeah. That was in response to another podcast which said, you cannot win with milling. I was like, oh, you can. Oh, you really can. Just not committed.
Nate, how do you want to address Tristan's next questions? Because the second one was definitely answered.
Move on.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Patron Caleb Cornelius asks, what's one card you truly wish you could have fit in?
So, the card that I was most sad to see get cut between design and development was Maze's End. I can't remember if we had downshifted it all the way to uncommon or not. It was at least it gotten it down to rare. And it was one of those things where I was super excited because I remember when Dragon's Maze came out, there were a lot of people that were trying really hard to get it to work for Dragon's Maze Limited. And, those people had it occasionally. And so I put it in a set. Adam eventually cut it, and, his reasoning is solid of it just never actually worked. It was there as this thing where people would see it and they'd be like, oh my god, I'm going to do it. And just partially due to the gold nature of the set and partially just due to the randomness of distribution of gates, it really did not feel great when you got 8 different gate names in your deck and you kind of built yourself around this and it didn't work out. So I get that. I am perhaps less sensitive to that exact thing, but yeah. That was the card that I missed the most.
Okie dokie. Patron Andy Benatelli asks, what kind of pizza do you like, and is pineapple a viable topping?
Oh, wow. So I will admit that I am pro Hawaiian pizza.
Oh.
Good man.
I do not believe that pineapple goes on anything else. I think once you've gone beyond pineapple and ham, anything else you add probably is just total downside. My favorite topping, though, is going to be a controversial one. That is the wonderfulness that is salty fish. Salty fish pizza, anchovies. It is wonderful. It was one of those things where, as a kid, I was terrified of it because that was always the joke in cartoons, was anchovies on pizza. And eventually I tried it, and man, I was just sold for life.
Yeah.
Swedish pizza.
I'm now imagining Swedish fish on pizza, which is probably not good.
I highly recommend, if you're going anchovies, get some black olives up on there as well.
That sounds good.
If you want the full, intense, salty hit.
All salt all the time.
Just no hydration in my body.
Hey guys, carry on for a second. Yeah, I'd like to order a large with anchovies and black olives. Black olives, you said, Sean?
Black olives, yeah.
Black olive.
And artichoke hearts.
Shoot.
Ooh,
I've already hung
artichoke
up.
hearts, nice. Welcome to Commander Pizza Podcast.
I think we've mentioned pizza because of Jackie Miller, patron Jackie Miller, every episode for the last 6 episodes.
Andy asks, what are your favorite personal cards from the set?
Ooh.
Oh, wow, that is a good question. Man.
We're going to take all of the others and burn them. They'll be exiled from Magic forever, so you have to choose wisely.
Yeah, God, I don't even know anymore. Give me 1 second. Let me... Actually got to look up now what all is in the set.
It has been, a year?
Yeah, well, so I was working on it in... It was funny. It was actually like there was some kind of a scheduling snafu, and this wasn't really like planned out as well as it could have been. And it was like, oh, by the way, we need to start this, this setup in the next few weeks. And it's like, can you lead it? I'm like, sure. And I was just like, I was on like a bunch of teams in there. Like, one of those things where it's like, it's not that I wouldn't say I don't remember working on the set, but certainly I, was very busy. So it was like, I remember much less about working on the set than most sets that I'm on.
Is it because this was 3 or 4 months ahead of schedule compared to all of the other Master sets?
I don't remember what happened. I think it was that we moved up the release date from being a summer release to being a spring release. And then it was like, oh, yeah, by the way, we also do kind of need to actually make it earlier because that's how art works and all these things. And, so it was like, okay, well, luckily I was, ready to go and got on the set. But, man, I think I was on like 3 or 4 teams that time, and I was just going crazy. Yeah, I think I was pretty happy with, actually, Bonfire of the Damned.
Ooh.
Finding red mythics is so hard. It turns out that red mythics are like usually just really not very exciting cards. Like sometimes they're strong, sometimes they're really goofy and don't do anything. But like finding ones that are like, oh, this card is awesome and fun and is well known for tournament play. Like, we just don't have a lot of those in Master sets. I mean, that's kind of why Kiki-Jiki got reprinted twice. It's like, but what else is there? And Bonfire was a really great way to put one in that was like, okay, this is a sweet card. People are going to, it is clearly a mythic, but it's also something that feels that and adds some stuff to Limited and Constructed and all that stuff. It certainly does not see as much play as it did in Standard, but, it has seen a little bit of fringe Modern play, and as long as people draw 1 card a turn, you can always count on Bonfire showing up every once in a while.
Patron Henry Stukenborg asks, what cards were considered but rejected from MM3?
Oh, there were so many. I mean, some of that is just like, you put stuff in there, you're like, this is going to be pretty cool. Like, the blue-black color pair for a while was Ninjas, and it... Oh. Well, so, yes. I'll tell you what, I am a huge fan of Ninjas. I have tried putting them in the stuff before. There are not enough good Ninjas. Like, we need to make more Ninjas. That is what I keep going down to. Some product sometime, we have to actually print Ninjas that we can put in Limited. Sweet. So, it turns out that this is how this always starts. It's a really fun card? Ninja the Deep Hours. And it's like, yeah, that card is awesome. And so you put it in, you're like, what are the other ninjas? And you're like, oh, we could probably try this Okina Gang Shinobi as a common. No, it is not a common. Like, that was in a set where there was 1 pack of it, and it was still pretty miserable. And let me tell you what, when you have like 3 Okina Gang Shinobis in your deck, like, you just totally wreck people on turn 4. Just, discard 2 cards. Okay, well, I'll play a blocker. Kill it, discard your hand. Like, oh wow, that So you're like, okay, well, that card's uncommon. And you're like, well, it's the one that skull something when it hits you exile a card. Well, that doesn't do anything. Like, what we need are like 2 or 3 more ninjas that are, good, well statted and fun in limited, and then we can just totally do ninjas in some set somewhere. But man, we're so close, and we just need a few more because we have a couple good rares, a couple good uncommons, and not enough to actually make the whole thing gel.
More ninjas.
Just to put that in perspective, I have a ninja tribal deck that has every ninja ever printed in it.
Yeah, there are not enough. Like, I will fully admit that. Like, I wish that a couple of them were just a little bit stronger.
Well, it's not like they're werewolves.
Fair enough.
We've got a ninja legendary, which is Vela the Nightclad, despite her not being a ninja. I never understood why she's not a ninja.
Who knows?
Henry asks, what makes a good or bad modern card?
They're all bad.
So it kind of depends on what you mean are good or bad. When we are looking at cards that we think could show up in Modern, in new sets, certainly, a lot of it comes down to, like, the first question, obviously, is the efficiency. We can't just print, like, 1G55. Like, is that a Modern card? I don't know. Like, maybe it's got a shot. Like, I guess probably it's a bit stronger than Tarmogoyf, so it probably is a Modern card, but boy, that would wreck Standard. But we can print cards like the Revolt cards, where they're much easier. There's a downside to them. You have to jump through a hoop, but the hoop is easier in Modern. So we do think a lot about that. Like, Fatal Push is an example of a card that is stronger in Modern than Standard, though it is very strong in Standard, partially because the subset of things it is dealing with, which is kind of creatures with low CMCs, is a larger part of Modern than Standard. Like, there are just not a ton of 5 CMC plus creatures that people play in Modern. Therefore, the fact that it completely ignores it is not as big of a deal as if, in Standard, if you can't kill a 5 CMC creature that actually can come up. Like, you can't kill Avacyn with it. That is an actual risk for the card. There just aren't those things in Modern.
Henry asks, what is your favorite Modern archetype/deck?
Oh, boy. Man, I've had a lot of different ones over the years. Like, sometimes I've got a deck like, this is my favorite deck, and then over time it's like I really like Cloud Post when the Cloud Post deck was like, I wouldn't call it weak, but it like wasn't the most broken thing you can do. Then once it's the most broken thing you can do, it's like, okay, this is kind of lame. Then, Cloud Post gets banned, and like, I like Tron. Again, when Tron wasn't the most broken thing you could do, all of a sudden when it gets really strong, it's like, okay, it's a lot less fun when this is the super strong thing. I tend to like things that are doing really cool and big things, but like are just a little bit weak. Partially that is, I just like it when people aren't... the classic example of this is, I had a habit of liking Affinity at times when Affinity wasn't good. Not because everyone was playing hate cards, but because it was just a little kind of not what you wanted to be doing. Because I enjoyed playing Affinity. I had the story of playing in an extended PTQ, and I was playing Affinity. My opponent was playing The Rock, which is a very bad matchup for Affinity. I was like, okay, turn 1 creature, and he kills it. He, plays something, and he, Living Wishes for Kataki, and it's like, okay, great. Go to game 2, and he boards in 14 cards. I'm like, oh my god. Then he, started oxidizing my lands on turn 1, and it was just because that guy showed up, and he was like, by the way, the card he did not board in was a Kataki, one of his 3 Katakis in his sideboard, so he could Living Wish for it. And it's like, that person was like, well, I'm just going to beat Affinity today. And, I do not enjoy playing Affinity when the games come down to that, or anything like a Dredge deck. Don't enjoy it when the games come down to the hate cards. I enjoy it when the deck is a little bit weak, and people don't have the hate cards for it. So right now, I would probably be playing something like Storm, which is a little bit on the weak side, but I don't have to worry about the hate cards that are running around. That people aren't, playing main deck a bunch of cards to hate on my deck, because it is not, the top tier of the combo decks right now.
So much of what you just said meant nothing.
Patron Brian McHugh asks, has development ever considered a watch list for the Modern format in relation to banning fears? Are there cards you find yourself keeping an eye on as only a matter of time to be broken?
I mean, So we don't have a watch list partially intentionally. I think that having a watch list actually is worse for banning fears. I know we had this a long time ago and extended, and I don't think it really helped people out. It just like all of a sudden, like I remember an extent, I think Force of Will was on the watch list, and it's like, it's like people can tell that Force of Will is a super strong card. You're just telling people that, just so you know, maybe we're gonna ban this, maybe we won't. That feels like a higher, sort of Damocles than we necessarily need. I mean, you look at Modern, and I don't know of a ton of cards where it's like, man, I can't believe this card's still legal. I think we have, in the past, there are cards that eventually got banned where it's like, yeah, that was going to happen eventually. Like, certainly when the format started out, there were a lot of things, like the Cloud Post deck, it was pretty obvious that at some point this is just going to get over the top. And I don't think that, as of right now, there's anything where it's like, yeah, this thing is just clearly way too strong, and it's just a matter of time. I mean, as this person notes, that Mox Opal and Simian Spirit Guide meet a lot of the criteria for cards that we tend to ban of, it turns out that free mana and turn 0 mana is something that is very strong in a lot of formats. Maybe you've seen Vintage at some point, and that is a very strong thing there. So while those are certainly cards that meet a lot of the criteria, it turns out, yeah, that things go infinite and things that produce a lot of mana on turn 1 just tend to break formats. That we don't have like some watch list where we're just like kind of sitting with the article, like how like CNN has obituaries for like every celebrity currently alive, just so that when that person happens to die, they can post the obituary, and every once in a while they accidentally post an obituary and it's super awkward. We haven't not like written the obituary for these cards. It's like, we certainly understand that these cards are very powerful, but we I think having an actual watch list is not the way to go around it, and it's more about, seeing how the format develops and reevaluating things every time we kind of come back to it whenever we want to talk about, bannings and all that.
Patron Russelly says, thanks for designing a set that isn't completely useless to people who hate draft. You're welcome, Russell. He asks, if your spark ignited, what plane would you wind up on by accident, and how long would you survive there?
Lorwyn, and not very long. Like, so here's the problem with Lorwyn. Let's say I show up in Lorwyn, right? I have the same problem in Lorwyn that a Johnny has basically everywhere he goes. They'd be like, what is that? Because the thing about Lorwyn is, it has giants, it has Kithkin, it doesn't have people. So I would either look like the mutant offspring of a Kithkin and a giant, and everyone would be totally freaked out by that, and would immediately burn me at the stake.
Let's hope the Kithkin was the father.
What is going on here? Like, because like obviously it's the Kithkin would be like, that looks like a really small giant, and the giants are like, that's a really huge Kithkin, and the elves would just murder me for value, but yeah, that's how they worked there.
You would be an eye blight. So.
Wow,
that's a good question. I like that one.
Yeah, that is. By old tradition, and we'll dust it off, it's if you were stranded on a plane without a spark, which planeswalker would you choose to help you get back home?
Man, wow,
Let's say the plane you're on is Kamigawa.
Kamigawa. Who would I choose? I don't know that you can actually take anyone when you planeswalk. That'd be super awkward.
Let's say you could.
I might have to just see if I can convince Venser to do that heart teleportation thing where he transfers his spark into me. I know he already did that once. Like, it's kind of a hard sell to do for somebody to be like, hey, can I borrow your spark? It just requires you to die. But he seems like a pretty upstanding guy. He'd probably do it.
He'd also have to come back from the dead.
That's true. I'd have to do this before he did it to Karn. But, I mean, what's the big deal? Like, Mirrodin gets Phyrexians forever. Who cares? Like, that wasn't... Yeah. Like, I am definitely more important than saving Karn. That's not really super big deal. We could rewrite that timeline. I'm sure everything turns out totally fine.
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong, right?
I'm telling you, man, Karn, wipe your feet next time.
Right? Take a shower once in a while.
Yeah, what are you doing, man?
Khan knew what he was doing. Blessed be Phyrexia.
Mm-hmm. Well, that clearly signals that we're almost at the end of the show, and Nate, I'm certain, has a message for us, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, out of the whole Modern Masters set that I've seen, what's the most hate-berriest card? Linvala, Keeper of Silence, 2 white. Legendary Creature Angel, 3/4 with flying. Yeah, who cares? What's so special? Activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated. Nope.
Yeah, Sam, what's with putting this card in the set?
I mean, it is a popular card in Modern. Like, it shuts off. It was more popular when you had Birthing Pod in the format, because it was really good against that, of stopping a lot of the, being able to stop their birds and things like that, or their combo. But it is still, it hate bears, I think, do a lot of good work in Modern. It's one of the cool cards that we can print that is likely going to have a larger impact in Modern than Standard, because Standard is just naturally more about ETBs and, creature size, and Modern is more about high-powered synergies, and being able to shut off, a high-powered synergy is just way stronger in Modern. So, you see hate bears that, you go to Legacy where they're just, Modern has some, but Legacy also does, of decks that are just full of hate bears. I'm just going to put all the hate bears in the deck, and no matter what you're playing, I'm going to, hopefully if I draw 2 hate bears that hate on both aspects of your deck, you're just, you're totally screwed. And that's a cool thing that, just is not really a thing in Modern, or in Standard. We don't tend to have decks in Standard that are just I'm dumping my whole deck in my graveyard, and if you do anything about it, I'm in trouble. You can, play your, anti-graveyard hate bear in Standard, and it's okay, well, you shut off a small portion of my deck, not my whole deck.
Huzzah.
Shut it off.
When I saw this card, it made me whine like you were taking away my blankie. I play Marath, Will of the Wild, and...
Not anymore, you don't.
Well...
Not more than once, at least.
Just kill it.
Linval is a great card.
Just kill it, you're fine.
Yeah, dice to removal.
So I'll save my Swords to Plowshares.
There you go.
Now, do we want to play a Sean's Puzzle Box?
Do we have time?
Probably. The dog's settled down now, and the rest of the house appears to have gone quiet.
Well, it's more about Sam. I think he's relocated to a bedroom.
No, I got a few minutes.
All right, so we can do a quick Sean's Puzzle Box, I think.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Cotton?
The box.
Okay, so Sam, this is a game, right? I'll give you the quick version. The aim of the game is to score more points than your opponents. You take it in turns. I randomly generate an artifact from all of Magic's history, and you start with 10 points now and know no information about the card I've generated. You can buy pieces of information with points, and whatever you've got left in the bank at the time you guess which card it is, that's the points you score.
All right.
Okay, I think.
Can we
Phil,
steal, Sean? Are we able to steal?
We'll say you can steal the remaining points of what's left for it. So it's 10 points to start. 4 points gets you the activated abilities if it has any of the card, and then it's 1 point for everything else. So you can have 1 point for the mana cost, 1 point for the set and rarity, 1 point for if it's a creature. Sorry, it's 2 points for all these things. 2 points if it's a creature, and if it is a creature, what its power and toughness is.
All right.
2 points for the CMC. Phil, you're going to go first, because you're our resident awful player at this. And I'm opening the puzzle box now. And we have our artifact.
I'll take the set and rarity.
Okay, Phil, this is a Time Spiral rare. It's only ever been printed in Time Spiral.
All right, and the ability.
Okay, so...
And how many points did I just spend with the rarity and the set?
2 points.
All right, so I'm at 8. And now if I ask for the rules text, it's what?
4 points for the rules text.
Oh, you're killing me. Right inside the stomach, you're stabbing me.
10 points for the name of the card.
Okay, so I'll take the rules text.
Okay, so 4 generic mana and tap. Reveal the top card of your library. If it has the same name as a card in your graveyard, put it into your graveyard, otherwise draw a card.
What kind of dumb card is this?
In Commander, that reads 4 mana, draw a card.
Draw a card.
Yeah, it's still not great, but
It's funny. I think I glanced at this and moved past it while looking at cards for Kaineos and Tiro. I'm going to say Juniper Order Cravat.
it's not a Juniper Order Probot. No.
No, cravat. It's a hat.
Oh, a cravat goes around your neck, man.
Oh, whatever they are. I don't know what they are.
I'm going to throw it to Sam to steal.
Is it Candles of Latnam?
It is not Candles of Latnam. Nate?
Candles of Leng.
It is Candles of Leng.
Oh, yeah.
Nate, you get 4 points. Right, we'll go to Sam next. So I'm generating an artifact now by opening the puzzle box.
How did you get Candles of Lang, Nate?
Candles of Leng.
Phil deeply suspects that Nate cheats at this game.
Fair.
Okay, so we have generated the artifact.
I think Nate is wiretapping your computer, Sean.
All right, can I get the set and rarity?
You can. That's 2 points. Oh, this is also a Time Spiral card, and it is uncommon. It has only ever been printed in Time Spiral.
Let me get the mana cost.
It is 1 generic mana.
Locket of Tomorrows.
No! There are people at home kicking themselves.
Yeah, there are.
I'm going to throw it to Phil.
Oh, come on.
Phil.
An uncommon printed in Time Spiral?
Yep. Which costs 1 colorless mana. Oh, sorry, 1 generic mana.
All right, Can I have the ability?
No, you have to go off what Sam had.
Sensei's Dowsing Jitte.
That would be
Close.
close. Nate?
For
For 6 points.
Clockwork Gnomes.
No, Sam's going to kick himself right up the arse. It's Locket of Yesterdays, not Locket of Tomorrows.
So I have 2 Time Spiral cards where I've gotten it's like, okay, I've got the item, I know what it is, but not the right noun or whatever.
No points. So Nate, to take a commanding lead, I'm going to open the box now. Oh, no, we're going to generate a different one because that is an unglued card. One second.
That one sounds
I
kind
didn't
of...
know. Get that out of here.
Yeah, that sounded kind of rusty anyway.
Okay. Right. We have
Give me the
generated
text.
the card. Oh, God. So, tap. Sacrifice this card. Exchange life totals with target opponent. Activate this ability only during your upkeep.
Mirror of the Souls.
No. I'm going to throw it to Phil. We always throw it to Phil first,
All right.
Sam, as a sort of charity vote.
Mirror Universe.
It is very universe. 6 points to Phil.
Yeah, how about that?
Phil,
I'm going to win it.
We always do 2 rounds, so you need to do well on this
Oh,
one.
come
Phil.
on.
You need to do well on this round, Phil.
I wasn't ready for a second round. I had only practiced for 1.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's your excuse, yeah? So we are opening the puzzle box. And... okay. Generated.
All right, give me the text.
Okay, this card does not untap during your untap step. And for a bargain 7 colourless mana, you can untap this card. And whenever this card attacks, it deals 7 damage to target creature defending player controls. God, that's a lot of text.
Set and rarity.
It is from Origins, and it is a rare.
Oh, oh God, I think I can see it.
I was annoyed, so I bought 2 boxes of Origins and pulled 7 of this card.
Oh my
It was
God.
like it was mugging me off with its
Yeah.
awfulness and terrible mana cost.
All right, so I can find out power and toughness.
You can. That's a point for power and toughness.
Yep.
It is a 7/7. Artifact creature golem.
Right.
Or golem, however you want to say that.
What else can I buy?
Well, I mean, for 2 more points, that's it. You can get its CMC.
I'll take for 2 points.
Okay, its CMC is 7.
7. Right. So
This is it for 2 points now. You're playing. You have everything apart from its name.
it's a 7 CMC, 7/7 artifact golem with the ability it does an untap during your untap, and for 7 mana you can untap it.
And when it attacks, it deals 7 damage to target creature the defending player controls.
You know, I am going to call it Sam's Automaton.
It is not Sam's automaton.
Okay.
Sam, as our guest, I'll give you a chance to steal those 2
So
points.
I knew it off the rules text. The problem is, here's where I'm often disadvantaged. It's like, what is the name end up as? Because
Parade float mare.
well, it's one of those things where it's like I know many versions of this name, but I don't know if this is the final name. And I believe it is Majoring Guardian.
Incorrect. Nate?
Majoring responder.
See, there, Nate knows his shit.
Yeah, see, it's like it used to be Majoring Guardian. This is the
No, now it responds.
Yeah.
I think it should count. I think we give Sam the points.
Nope. No. No. We're not kowtow, because next it'll be I think I should have the points, won't it, Phil?
No, absolutely. I think this is Sam's points.
No.
Okay. Is that... Did we do 2 rounds already? It feels
No,
like...
it's Sam's turn to try and
All right.
win. Okay, Sam. The box is open, and our random artifact is
All right,
here.
I'll start with rules text.
Oh god, this is an easy one.
Tap, add 2 colorless mana.
This
to
is
your-
one where Phil is going to complain
Yeah.
because he never gets ones like this. Flying Death Touch. When this card enters the battlefield, draw a card.
Oh, boop you.
Oh, it's Baleful Strix.
It is. So, Nate, you're winning because the score
Yeah.
you can't lose because you're on 8 and everyone else is on 6.
All right.
No, he just got 8. Oh, right. He bought the rules text.
Text is 4 points for that.
He did, has 4 points.
Yeah.
So Nate can't lose, but in the interest of fairness, we'll do the final round.
All right. Give me the text.
I only practiced for 1 round.
Okay. So now we're opening the box. Now.
Hurry.
Okay, you want the text.
Nate, you're already winning.
Okay, Nate.
Mm.
You must draft this card face up.
Oh, good grief.
During the draft, you may turn this card face down. If you do, you may look at any unopened booster pack in the draft, or any booster pack not being looked at by another player.
Yeah, this is one of those cards that I never looked at because I just swept right by it. Yeah, I think it's recent. Kind of recent, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Clockwork Gnomes.
No.
No.
Let's throw to Phil as our charity throw.
Clockwork Librarian.
It's not
God.
Clockwork Librarian. You would have won as well, Phil. Sam, this will win you the game if you can get
Right.
this.
Once again, stuck in the, oh man, I don't know if this is the name I ended up with. This is the playtest name. Gonna go with Spybot.
No,
That
it's
is the playtest name.
Whisper Gear Sneak.
Yeah.
Mm.
It does look like a spy bot. It's a robot holding a magnifying
Yeah,
glass.
yeah. I know playtest names. I don't know final names anymore.
Yeah, Sean, you don't know the playtest names. He does.
This is the downside of working at Wizards, is that you remember all the cards when you're playing them, and for a set like Conspiracy, it's all playtest names. So I'm like, ugh.
Now, Nate, Sam, just pander along with us here.
Oh,
Hey,
God.
Phil, you came in joint second. That
Wow.
wasn't last.
That's the highest I've ever placed in one of these.
Hey, Sam. Nate won. Congratulations, Nate. You're our reigning champion.
Yay.
Yay. And that concludes Sean's puzzle box. Closing the box now. Hang on. Back inside. Get back in. Ah.
Stupid game.
You love my games.
Actually, Sean, I do love that game. I just don't like playing it. It's just humiliation.
I forget, what was the other game I used to play before Sean's puzzle box?
Wheel of Walkers.
Wheel of Walkers. Oh, that's a good one. I think we've played Wheel of Walkers. with
Yeah,
Sam
that's the
before.
one I played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might need to do live versions of these at GP Las Vegas.
Yeah, we're going to break the illusion that the random generator isn't just an app on my phone.
That's okay. Maybe somebody will generate a prop for us. Who knows?
Oh, did Bradford not show you the prop he found for the puzzle box? It was an ancient wooden chest he found in his grandmother's spare room that had a Union Jack painted on the top of it. And he doesn't know why she had it. She knows. Right. I wasn't visiting your grandmother, Bradford.
Well, Sam, what an episode.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Thank you for coming on. We had a blast. Even having to endure Sean's puzzle box. That was great fun. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, I'm happy to be here.
For everybody else, thanks for hanging out with us. Without your support, this episode wouldn't have happened. So if you want to support the podcast, head over to patreon.com/commanderin.mtg. And don't forget to give us a 5-star review on iTunes. And we love talking to you folks. So come on over, send us email. We'll get to that in just a bit. Tweet at us. And we are incredibly grateful to all of our patrons like Marcus Regonesi. What a great name that is. Alexander Reichard. And, of course, Brian McHugh, who asked a question this episode. We also really want to record a full show with all 3 hosts together in the same place at the same time in Grand Prix Las Vegas. It'll be a blast. We're going to have lots of extra recording shenanigans. But first, Sean has to get there. So, Sean, what is your GoFundMe again?
It is, if you search GP Las Vegas Commanderin, that's without the apostrophe, tour, or just search my name and we'll put links up. You can try and GoFundMe. And I need to thank the people that have already been funding me, which are in no particular order. Mr. Andy Bentley, Chris Logie, Henry Stukenborg, thank you so much for your donation, sir. Paul Inman, Adam Scoops Wilson, Ben Fogarty, Nate Burgess, never heard of him, and the Commander's Brew.
Oh.
There you go. I don't know who those guys are. They sound polite, though.
What amazing generosity from those folks.
Yep, all those people are awesome, and hopefully I'll see lots of you in Vegas soon.
We really appreciate it because we really want to meet Sean face-to-face for the first time and play games and yell at each other about destroying land in a targeted fashion if it's all if it's all Sean's. That was just a Freudian slip there. So everybody come play test with us, and especially come to GP Las Vegas and play games with us directly.
I'm going to find a table, put a playmat on it, and just basically wither in that chair. I might pay one of you to go and bring me drinks. I presume at GP Las Vegas we'll get like casino style hosting, yeah? We'll get people just constantly trying to get us to crack coins into the machines or
Yeah.
whatever the magic equivalent of that would be.
Probably doesn't work like that, but maybe that should work like that. I don't know.
Are you going to be there, Sam?
I do not know yet. I might go, I might not go.
Well, pack a commander deck if you do come.
Sounds good.
Do you need a GoFundMe as well?
No, I think I'm good.
Come to Vegas, please.
It's not nearly as far from Seattle to Vegas as it is, from England.
Yeah, it's just a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you're there, Sam. So our theme song was created for the podcast by Nate Burgess. Boy, he's all over the place. He's donating GoFundMes. He's writing articles on EDHrec.com. This episode was probably edited by Bradford Heron. This video was also created by Bradford Heron. Our logo was created for the podcast by Mr. Picto, a friend of Sean's. With assistance from Kelly DeLuco, a wife of Phil. Not just the. Special thanks to Tech Wizzes, Jessie, and Graham, and to Justin for his server space. You can reach us by going to our website, commanderin.mtg.com. How do they find us on social medias, Nate? I never remember this.
Oh, they search for commanderin.mtg.podcast. And that's how they get it.
That's how they get it.
Get it.
We're also posting links to these on edhrec.com too. Individually on Twitter, I'm at KetJack, Ketjak.
I'm at...
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was doing it in order written down. Sorry, Nate. I insist. You go ahead, sir.
No.
Fine. I am at Mr. Plorg. No, I'm not. I am at Copain26.
I am at Mr. Plorg.
And Sam, how can people reach you?
I am on Twitter at Sam Stoddard. SAMSTOD.
And would you do us the honor, sir, of taking us out?
Yeah, well, thanks for listening to Commanderin.
Woohoo! Commanderin.